this session about assessments in year 2. Today, I will be talking to you about the different assessments that are carried out in Kingsthorpe Grove, and more specifically in year 2. Assessments are carried out for all the year groups towards the end of the 3 terms. Children are assessed on English, both reading and writing, and maths. End of term assessments also happen for foundation subjects like RE and PSH, etc. All these assessments are carried out for the school to provide support to the children and see how they're progressing in their learning. Today, I will also be talking about SATS. A lot of parents have asked me, what is SATS and how do they get their children ready for it? SATS happen in year 2 and year 6. In year 2, the SATS that happen are primarily there for informing teacher judgment, while year 6 SATS is the only form of assessment when the child leaves the primary. What is SATS? SATS is standard assessment tests. SATS are designed to test how schools are performing and how children are progressing in the learning. The results of these tests will confirm the levels of the children and help year 3 teachers as the children go forward. SATS tests in year 2 will likely happen in the month of May. There is no fixed date and it is left to the discretion of teachers. So what do the SATS tests look like in year 2? In year 2, there are 4 papers administered. There are 2 papers in maths, arithmetic and reasoning, and 2 papers for reading, which is called as paper 1 and paper 2. So this is an example of a question for paper 1, which involves arithmetic. There'll be around 25 questions, which include addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and some sort of fractions. This is an example of a paper 2 reasoning question. Children have to read and try and work out and calculate what the answers could be. Children can ask adults to read these questions to them, which will be quite useful. English paper 1 and 2 will have fiction or non-fiction. The main difference between paper 1 and paper 2 in English is that paper 1, the text is given in parts. Children are to answer questions based on this part of the text, and then they continue to read the next part. The text is much simpler as well as the questions, so the level of questioning is quite basic. Paper 2 is a little more complex. The text is more complex and it is much longer, so they need to skim most of the text, more of the text, and then the question and text are in separate booklets, and more higher skills are required to comprehend the text. And this is to be noted that since it's a reading paper, children cannot ask adults to read any part of the text or the question. These are different types of questions. We have just questions by itself, name 2 or 3, true or false, tick 1, 2 or all, match the following, sequencing the text, fill in the table, and finding the meaning or synonyms for words. These are the sort of questions that will come up. And as you can see in question 2, they've got the page number, giving children the clue to look for the answers. Here, children are to list out 2 or 3, depending on what the question is, of things that they need to pick up, that sort of information they pick up from the text. They also have to think about whether the statements are true or false and put in the tick in the appropriate box. Then they also have to answer the question by either ticking 1, 2, maybe sometimes they will ask you to tick all the appropriate answers to answer the question. Then we have match the following, where they need to match the appropriate boxes. They also need to sequence the text. So they need to read the text, understand it, and be able to find out which part comes when and able to put down the numbers and sequence it. Then they also have maybe a box like this they need to fill in, where each statement has to be read and the appropriate, again, the box to be ticked. Finally, you could have a question where they're asking you to find out the meaning. When what I mean by find out the meaning is to guess the meaning depending on the context. How do we get the children to prepare for these tests? Generally, children at this age find tests really fun and they're eager to have a go. Of course, there are always exceptions and we do support them. Children are pretty much well prepared to attempt these tests. Preparation, I would say that being well prepared is part of the preparation. Please ensure that you read with children every day, making sure they understand and are able to talk to you about it. Please get the children to practice 2s, 5s, and the 10 times table by going to the Times Table Rockstars website. Everyone has logins. Then making sure that the weekly homework is done where they learn the spellings and finish the maths homework. Tests are administered in small groups. Mr. Wilson and I will work with groups of children in the library in a very quiet place. They are prompted and encouraged to use all the strategies that are taught in class. Some children are allowed to take breaks, but they need to complete the test by the end of the day. Some are allowed to work in smaller groups to help them focus and concentrate. Hopefully you found this information quite useful and gives you an insight into SATS. There are some past papers that are published online if you are interested and would want to have a look. Please let Mr. Wilson and me know if you have any other information that you want. And thank you for listening.